Hello, everybody, and welcome to Four Mics. I'm your host, TuBowler25, and I've got everybody back here again with me today. I've got Doc with me,
Sup?
got Steve with me, Awesome X, Steve, anybody alive?
Rip.
My microphone was muted because I thought we were doing an intro.
We did. I already did
Yay!
it. And I have Deldev.
You don't hear me. I am not here.
And Deldev's not here, apparently.
Elder was not here.
All right, I will
And
mark
we're here
Daldev as
again to
not
talk
here.
about gaming news and games and things we love doing. I'm going to roll right into it then. We're going to flick over to our first article. We've got a Rainbow Six Siege Starter Edition now available for $15. Ubisoft says this will be available only until June 19th. So limited to time buy-in. Way discounted, actually, considering it's still a $60 game. Let's see.
2 free operators, apparently.
Yeah, the only difference between the starter and the standards edition is how the operators are unlocked. The starter edition will include just 2 operators instead of 20, which doesn't fill in right. Once again, they're misleading with this topic. You start with no operators in the standard edition and unlock them at a far faster rate than you do in the starter edition, where the starter edition gives you operators, 2 of them for free out of the gate, but it takes far more in-game currency to unlock new operators.
And I believe
I
it's
think
2 on
yeah.
both defending and offensive.
2 on both. So 4 characters even. Okay, so this article might not even be right.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I believe the devs actually said that they think to unlock a new operator in the starter edition, it'll take about 15 hours per new operator
Yeah, something
of
like that.
in-game play, which is a substantial amount considering that it already takes a good 2 or 3 hours of in-game play to get a new one. And just
Depending on
starter.
where you are in the game, I guess. In the unlocking phase.
So you can have it for less money, but you have to grind your ass off.
Yeah, pretty much. Which, I mean, to some people that's an okay trade-off, because if they want the game, they're going to be playing it anyway.
Oh, here's where those 2 more operators come in. The starter edition also comes with 600 R6 credits that can be used to unlock 2 more operators of your choice.
Alright.
Okay. From the pool of 6.
Yeah.
The 2 random and 2 you get to pick.
Okay.
It's not horrible.
I guess that means you could fill in for your deficiencies
Yeah.
too.
So just pick the opposite of whatever it randomly rolls you, and you're off to a pretty decent start.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you're actually off to a really good
But
start.
the only ones you get to choose from is Rook, Sledge, Ash, Fuse, Mute, and Smoke. Which, out of all of them, they're pretty okay.
Rook, Sledge, Ash, Fuse, Mute, Smoke.
So what you're saying, if I was to get this, I would immediately go sledge so I could smash people in the face with a sledgehammer.
Sledge doesn't have a
Smash through
sledgehammer.
walls. This sledgehammer is
No,
better than going
no.
through walls.
Walls are unimportant for me, you see, because faces, now those are easy to smash.
Yes.
See, the
Who's
walls,
guaranteed
no, that's the
kill?
thing. The walls don't give you that nice, mushy feeling when you connect with them.
The mushy followed by that hard rock, with a
Mm.
crackle.
With a nice
Rook-
crack.
Rook
Good snap,
basically-
crackle,
I
pop.
don't know if you guys are familiar with the game, but Rook has like a huge, like full body shield you can deploy.
No,
Yeah,
Rook,
but does
is,
he have a sledgehammer?
Rook is the body armor.
Oh no, he's body armor. Right,
Yeah,
right.
Montague's the full shield.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rook puts down a kit that gives out body armor and enhances your survivability of your team if they pick up the body armor, but they don't have to.
I don't have to.
I'm gonna be an immersion fag for a second. Like, oh no, he puts out a mystical kit that just magically gives everyone armor. Ugh.
Well,
People
It
people
doesn't
talk
give
about
up
how
armor, it's a
realistic it is.
ceramic kit plate, but
yeah,
because
there's
the
just
standard
plates.
operator armor is weaker than the armor Rook gives you, and it barely increases your survivability.
Yeah, it's
Promise.
not much. It's something, but it's not much. Ash has like a grenade launcher type penetrating device.
Here, take
the
this.
face
You'll
of
die
the
a slightly
character.
less painful death.
Yeah,
can
literally,
take
you'll
one
die
more
a
bullet.
slightly less. Yeah, you can take one more shot.
Enjoy.
Compared to the 3 it already takes to kill you, it now takes 4.
Okay, so actually it's a slightly more painful death.
But they give you fuse.
You get an extra bullet in the chest.
I was gonna say of all of these, like mute and fuse are probably the most used.
Yeah, mute's pretty awesome. He's my favorite.
Yeah, mute has a jammer device you can put down to prevent the use of any
And
electrical,
electronics.
any electronics at all. So like breach charges won't work.
Your little drones can't. Thermites charges can't work.
Yeah, any
Nice.
type of electronic device at all doesn't work, including like fuses, grenade launcher, and stuff like that.
But Sledge's sledgehammer still works, so that's all that matters.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Sledge's sledgehammer still works.
It still delivers that nice mushy
not
crack.
electrical. And
Yep.
then there's Smoke, who has like canisters of mustard gas. That somehow people can see through, but I can't.
That doesn't. That's not how that works.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't see through it either. I think people just spray and play through it because there's no way you can see through it.
Steve, they probably have a Widowmaker.
They probably do have
Oh yeah, an altered Widowmaker.
Wrong game.
Because I got that joke because I played Widowmaker during the beta.
This is not about Overwatch. It's about how retardedly. I kind of want this just for PC though.
I was gonna say like I would have fun with this, but I think I'll just hop over to G2A and pick up the full game for like
Like
$28.
$30.
Yeah, like $28, $30. Because I'd rather have the full game again. Like, I mean, Steve and I have played this quite a lot on the PlayStation, and I enjoyed it a lot.
I still enjoy it occasionally with friends.
I'm hoping this brings more players to the game, and that hopefully we can see an increase in player population. If I can stop stuttering.
I don't know if that's going to be a good thing, though, because it's going to invite all the newbies that are like,
Here come the
"No,
noobs."
$15.
Here
Well,
come the noobs.
Yeah, it's fine with the noobs. Like, I'm totally okay with that because
I mean, if you're partying, yeah, it's fine. But if you're not partying, you're going to have
I
those
mean,
noobs,
its
too.
matchmaking isn't horrible either.
yeah, it's pretty good at keeping everybody in your. I think the way matchmaking works is based on the amount of hours you've played, actually.
I think it's amount of hours and like
Average
KD
on your
stuff
team.
like that.
Yeah.
So it's like
because-
soft. It's like soft skill based matchmaking with time invested or something like that.
It's
Something like that.
time invested plus KD for matchmaking. So it gives you a fairly good teammates with fairly good enemies. So everybody's about on par. Like, it has a pretty good
Usually.
matchmaking. Yeah.
And then you get the matches where you just step on children.
Yeah, but that same thing happens in the opposite, where like we're with
Yeah,
Burrito.
occasionally you
and then
get your
we're ranked
face
against
melted.
The platinum ranked competitive people
Yeah,
that
'cause Burrito
stomp
got
through our
it.
faces.
Burrito's god at this game. You can just solo it.
Yeah,
Like you're like, okay, the objective is to protect the kidnapped person. You're like,
the
cool.
hostage.
I'm gonna go on the other end of the building later, and he'll kill the enemy team.
trounces off with a shotgun, and we don't see him for the rest of the match. He kills 3 of the enemies and then dies,
Unless I accidentally shoot him, in which case he chases me.
which is hilarious. And then I have to deal with reviving you two.
You
Uh,
don't have to revive me. I have my sledgehammer. It will revive me.
Touch him.
Now,
When
what
he
people-
dies, when he falls over, the sledgehammer hits him on the head and revives him. That's how. That's how he
Revive
comes
It only
back.
increases my power by
You
tenfold.
just have to put a syringe with some morphine at the end of the hammer.
I mean,
On
that's
both sides,
essentially what we do.
one's a poison, the other's an antidote.
It's a 50-50 chance.
No, the police get your adrenaline going, then he has to hit you with the other end of the hammer.
Well, I mean, you remember what getting people up was. You walked over and like patted their shoulders, and you're like, "Come on, buddy, get up."
Are you just took like 2 shotgun blasts to the chest. Are you alright?
I see an- I see an opportunity.
It's okay. I'm fine now.
I see an opportunity for a great webcomic. There's a guy with his leg blown off, and like another character walks up and puts his hand on his shoulder. It's like, "Don't worry, you're gonna be okay." And like then in the next panel, his leg pops back out of nowhere, and he stands up, puts his hand on his friendly, like, "Thanks, man. Thanks for the pep talk," and then runs off.
Yep.
Right back out into the enemy fire.
Gets
Like
his other
Doc-
leg blown off.
Doc is the only character that actually does anything involving medicine. Shocker there.
Wow, someone named Doc does medicine things. Who could have
Yeah.
possibly predicted this tragedy?
Who saw this coming?
But, you know, okay, smooth transition. If you do buy the game, you're not going to have to worry about cheaters. Because Rainbow
No.
Six Siege cheaters are now being permanently banned on the first offense.
Yes.
From PC Gamer, Rainbow Six Siege cheaters and hackers take note. Ubisoft has updated the game's code of conduct to allow for permanent bans for anyone who gets up to untoward shenanigans, even on the first offense. The updated section of the code now reads, cheating, modding, and hacking. Player is running a modified or otherwise unauthorized version of the game client or a third-party software which provides any sort of unfair advantage, including wall hacks and aim hacks, or causing detriment to other players' experiences. Maximum penalty is a permanent ban. So, what do you guys think about this?
Can I send in a request for them to unpermanently ban me?
Not good.
Saying, hey, I'm sorry guys, but I was just trying out these hacks here.
I was just
No,
trying out
that's
these
good. I
these
don't-
lead
I'm-
hacks.
I'm 50-50 on it because sometimes they get the wrong people. And that's
Yeah, it's
bad.
true.
Like, Dark Souls for a great example of that happening a lot. Where people like will just invade someone, drop a hacked in item and just leave. And then the
Really?
game is like, oh, he has a hacked item. Ban
Yeah.
him.
Oh
It
wow,
does that.
that's troll.
Yeah. I mean, it's great for not wanting to get invaded.
That's
Yeah,
that's
like I
pretty
don't know.
troll.
I guess it depends on how good their detection system is.
Yeah.
Because what I'm worried about is players that shouldn't be banned getting banned for doing something.
Right.
Like,
That's
me taking a whole, 20 seconds of a round to punch out a tiny square hole in a wall so I can crawl through the tiny square hole.
yeah.
I mean,
which
like,
is a thing.
I'm of two minds about this. If you're gonna have a permanently banned system, then you need to make sure that you don't have any automated system that responds to reports without human intervention, because then
Right.
you can just get report brigading. Like, it seems like the industry is headed in this direction. Like, Siege has announced this. Overwatch is going to be permanently banning people on the first offense. Bungie has just started console banning people for messing around with Trials of Osiris. So it's obvious that, like, somewhere in the zeitgeist of game development, they've come to the decision that, you know what, the regular way of doing this, like the forum moderation version of moderating video games, is not working. We just need to drop the nuke on anyone who dares cross us. So,
The ban hammer. The ban sledge.
yeah, like, as long as the automated report system is not tied directly to any action without human intervention, I guess I'm probably okay with it. But, if they pull a Warframe, then that's not really what I want to be happening.
Yeah, because you could say you just have a lucky couple kills, like you just dicking around in the building and just shoot out the fucking wall for no reason, and you kill the entire enemy team.
I mean, dude, I got kills like that in freaking Battlefield 4
Exactly, like it can
all the
happen.
time. Are you kidding me?
And
The
then
number
you're
of
like, dude, he's hacking. It's like
The
no, he's
number-
shot at the wall.
the number of godly pro pipe kills that I've gotten, because it's not the noob tube, it's the pro pipe. The number of godly pro pipe kills that I've gotten is just like, if I was not me and you're just watching some of these where like they go over buildings and they go through one window and out the other and they kill somebody, like, you'd have to be, this guy is up to something nasty. Like, this,
Yeah.
there's no way that he's, somebody's just landing multiple lucky hits with the tube like
Well,
that. But
back
it
in the day,
just
like,
happens.
Random throwing knives. that people would do in like
Oh
Black
yeah,
Ops.
the sky knife. Just look up. Whoosh.
Yeah, there it is.
Just wait.
'Cause if
Maybe
you
it'll
play
come down.
enough- If you play enough, you can figure out just how far away the enemy spawn is. So at the beginning of the match,
Freaking remember that this wasn't called Control. I think it's called Domination.
Yeah, domination.
Where people got so good and they played for so long that they could just look at a particular cloud in the sky and pro pipe the enemy zone from like the other side of the map, and they'd run one man army on two classes with the pipe on, and they just keep one man armying more pipes. Just
Seems
rain
legitimate.
doom.
Raining pure death from the sky.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, as long as it's not automated, I'm down.
I don't know. It looks like they're looking into testing using anti-cheat engines. So, don't
This
know.
is okay. Let me
Even if
from-
it was a temp ban until they, go over the actual report, it would be fine.
from a
But you know they're
software
not gonna
perspective.
have that.
You can't defeat people maliciously redesigning software with more software. It doesn't work that way. Anti-cheat engines are a joke.
yeah.
Usually
far
it
as I'm
causes
concerned.
more issues for the main users rather than the hackers themselves.
Pretty much.
Yep, usually. And it always comes back because something you did just isn't quite right. And like random thing I remember happening to Steve. Steve was running around a sledge, and this guy just threw a C4 on the wall just as Steve sledgehammered the other side. So
Oh, yeah.
Steve got killed by the C4 that he sledgehammered.
It happens. It's the biggest bullshit. No, I got killed because like I was on offensive and I was behind a fuse. I think Burrito was playing his fuse, and he pulled the
God.
pin, shot into grenades, and one of the grenades slipped back out under the door and killed us both. It's the greatest kill cam ever to be watched. I wasn't even mad. Just it was bullshit.
That's why I don't understand why Fuse's fucking grenades are pucks.
Yeah, they're like hockey pucks.
Yeah, it's the weirdest freaking thing to give Fuse is pucks. But yeah, I'm worried about it coming back on players that aren't fairly banned, like us running around shooting our allies because it's
Cause fuck them.
because fuck them. Yeah, you can shoot your allies. Nothing
Yeah,
in this
there
game
needs-
prevents you from killing your whole team.
They were bad in the last
There
round,
needs
so
to be
it's
an
really
appeal
easy to
system,
defend
definitely. There needs, because Bungie, for example, takes the stance that their ban hammer is perfect, and for all intents and purposes, it nearly is. But it only takes one example of it not going off properly to piss off the community.
Yeah.
There was, I think it was several months ago, there was an example of some guy, who had an intermittent connection issue for a couple of days, that he actually had to call his internet service provider about and get a technician out there. And in the intervening time when he was trying to play Destiny, he was actually banned for network manipulation because they thought he was trying to use a lag switch. And like the number of like that's an edge case, obviously. Like the chances of that detection system screwing up are 1 in a bajillion. But it only has to happen once, and only one angry person has to pop up on the forums, and all of a sudden you have a mob of like 2,000 people with pitchforks and fire who are upset that your automatic system banned somebody who didn't deserve it. So I would be very humble in announcing that you have a system like that and making sure that you say, but we're going to have an appeals process. Take it seriously. And then what you do, just to make sure that people don't misuse the appeal process, like, obviously this doesn't work for something like a permanent ban, but if there's a lesser ban, for example, say that it's like a temp ban or something, and somebody comes and abuses the report system and you find them still guilty, then the ban should be increased further. So,
Right.
Misusing the service, results in a larger punishment. Of course, there's nothing you can do if for somebody who appeals a permanent ban because you can't kill them twice. But
We IP ban you.
fuck your couch.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I mean, Yeah, as long as there's an appeal system. And I feel like it would be better to start off as a temp ban and then you escalate it to a permanent ban if people are abusing the system or caught multiple times doing the same thing, as long as it's relatively provable.
I'd go
anything
with a one strike system personally.
Yeah.
I'm always for you get two. I give you the first one and then the second time I kill you.
No, yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, you
Yeah,
get
that's what you
one.
Okay.
You get one warning,
Yeah.
and then after that you're burned. You're nuked from orbit. After that.
Yep. We'll fire up our lasers and that's that. All right.
If that system existed, would you have it so the first one is reverted if it's proven that it's faulty? Or would
Yes.
you
Oh,
just
yeah,
keep
definitely.
that
Yeah,
warning
definitely.
there? Just like, I'm still watching you. I will permanent ban you next time.
No.
And if you did nothing,
Just have like a watermark of I with something saying I'm watching you just in the top right of the
Eyes occasionally look around, peep out.
You have the program. You have the program like randomly ask for like oh gosh, web camera privileges.
Oh.
no, you
It
see,
comes on for like 10 seconds and just shuts off.
this is what's gotta happen. Every like 5 minutes or so of playing, it shows like a little watermark fade in on the center of your screen saying I'm watching, and then your character will jerk his head left and right for a second and then go back.
But no, with the one strike system, like we were just talking about, yeah, if you can prove the first one was faulty, then it's removed as a warning, and you go back to having no strikes.
So I guess we're gonna talk about Steam Spy now.
Yes, we're gonna move right into Steam Spy, removing Paradox's Interactive's data from their service, which is quite shocking to me. Let's go down in here. Steam Spots.
Yeah, just go straight off the article. Just read it straight.
Paradox Interactive requested all data for all of its games to be removed from Steam Spy, a site that aggregates publicly accessible data on Steam games to produce an estimate of ownership figures, average players, and similar stats. Steam Spy has complied with the request, making Paradox the first big publisher to have its games removed from the site. Explaining the move, Paradox Shams Georgian, whatever, cites concerns that Steam Spy's accuracy. We've got a tweet here which just says SS numbers are wildly off at times. We'd rather share the correct data through a site that I went and looked for any of this data at all, and it's nowhere on this site.
Not on the site?
Not in the slightest. Like, we'd rather share it through this site, and it's not there at all. I can't find any information on any games there's numbers like that, or anything.
Do you think it's maybe held to the developers themselves through the site rather than publicly available?
Well, finish the article
this,
before we just read the next tweet because there's more information.
Steam Spy founder Sergey, wow, these names, countered that amounts to hiding data because some don't understand how to read it. Indeed, Steam Spy is laden with caveats as to the accuracy of its data. Explaining his decision to remove the data nonetheless, tweeted his belief that it's a developer's right to hide their data.
Yeah, you missed a tweet. The one above it was the same guy saying, I've met countless devs that have showed me flawed business plans hinging entirely on quote-unquote owners' figures reported by Steam Spy on competitors. And, like, if that's really happening, then that's a pretty valid reason for, not wanting your data out there, because you're not going to convince upper management that, these numbers are inaccurate if they've made the decision in their minds already that they're taking these numbers into account. So, it kind of goes back to the cliche of the stupid boss. You can't really convince the stupid boss, so you just have to kind of make the inaccurate information he's receiving go away somehow.
Yeah.
So, like, I do understand where they're coming from.
Like, how inaccurate is it would be my next question.
Well, yeah, for that they'd have to release their own data.
Yeah, and they obviously don't want to do that. Sadly. Let's see. In here, why did you comply? I firmly believe Steam Spy should be seen as a useful tool by developers, not as a threat. And then the next tweet says, did they prove it was a threat? It's your site, but it's more useful to the industry with full data. And then Steam Spy's reply was, I don't ask for proof. I'm not a court. It's their games, and I think it's their right to hide their data. And then the article finishes off. My only response to this is, one of the first lines in here is, the site aggregates publicly accessible data. Which means it's not hidden data to begin with.
So is that like the back end of the Steam API then they're using?
I
to
guess
pull these numbers?
Yeah, I would assume so. It only aggregates information from Steam.
Yeah, so then, like, really all they're doing is moving information from point A to point B. It's not like with them complying, this information mystically disappeared somewhere into the ether. Like, if it's on the back end of Steam's API for developers, then anybody can gain access to it.
Yeah, I think the only reason they're maybe worried about it is Steam Spy is much easier to get to and far more laid out on what that information is and what it means. Like,
Yeah, but it
this
says
is-
Steam Spy is the site that aggregates publicly accessible data. It doesn't say that the ISFE is. So.
Oh, I know. We're talking about Steam versus Steam Spy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, because they've got to be pulling the data from somewhere, and if they're just an aggregator, which is what they purport to be, then that means that there's an API endpoint that they've hung their hats on somewhere that has this information regardless. So
yeah, this information is in Steam. It's just much harder to find and not as just accessible as going to Steam Spy and typing in Civ 5 or Magica 2 or anything like that.
Honestly, when I think about it that way, then I'm kind of inclined to call bullshit on Paradox, because if Steam Spy has, as they said, hooked into an API endpoint, Steam is going to know who's playing their game when, and they're going to know it better than anybody. Like, the chances of Steam's aggregate data on who's playing what game when they're hooked directly into Steam is not going to be, quote-unquote, wildly inaccurate. That, like, this seems like kind of a sideways argument for something that's, that they're not just coming out and saying. Maybe that really is what their data is, and, they don't want people to see low population numbers.
But what if it's only Steam data? Because I'm sure a lot of these games can be accessed elsewhere other than Steam.
It literally is only Steam data. So
but I'm talking about their full requests. So, like, if, as we're talking about, they decide to show it to a higher up, they would only show the Steam data. It wouldn't show the data for any other programs or any other.
Do they have anything?
Posts.
I would hope the higher ups understand that this is only from Steam and it's not not all of the population that bought the game, because obviously people bought it through other sites.
Yeah, but we have companies like Capcom that don't even understand.
Yeah, but
user base.
like, how many? I this is totally a guess. I mean, I don't know if there's numbers on this anywhere, but unless the actual game itself has a dedicated platform that's tied to a developer, like something like Origin, okay, how many people actively go out and buy games outside of the Steam environment? Like, there's entire websites where you can buy games, but you're still buying it through the Steam environment secondhand. So, like, how many platforms are there out there, and how big are their user bases that are non-Steam? And how much market share do they have? Is it even,
I can only
like...
think of Origin.
No,
Yeah.
GOG, which
Okay,
is
God.
You're talking about DRM free, no linked. You download
But
the
are
actual
there
game exe
Are
and play it.
Paradox games on GOG?
I don't know. Let me go look.
They don't.
But-
I
Yeah,
know-
but
I
do you
know
see what I'm
that
saying? Like,
website
even if they
for it.
exist, what's to say that they're not statistically insignificant?
Even
Let me
so,
go look.
developers
Hold
can
on.
host their own games on their own sites if they wanted to.
This is also true. That's actually how I
So-
downloaded The Witcher.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
a lot of newer gamer companies, which this isn't a new game company, but a lot of new game companies will actually host their own their site servers, so that way they can have, they can have the Steam sales and whatnot, but then they can get the full profit off of their own site.
And then like I talked about this earlier with Bulldog. I guess the tail end of the argument for me would be, all this aside, what reason would you have for not making this information public regardless? Like, the only reason I could come up with is if you thought that you were underperforming, and then just by not showing your data, you're already communicating to everyone that you're probably underperforming. So it's kind of, you're screwed either way. Like, for instance, I mean, because I really know Destiny, so I can keep using it as an example. Destiny never gives real-time player data. And the reason that they do that is because the game was so successful at launch that regardless of how many people are playing it right now, it's going to look like the user base has dropped so far that it's going to get negative press from it. So, but everybody knows that that's the reason they're not releasing their data. So by not giving your back-end information on player base, you've basically admitted to people that, there's a reason why you haven't put it out there, and that's probably because you're underperforming.
Okay, so I just looked up their market share for you, and this is just from the Witcher 2 sales, so I can only confirm this from that. Basically, of the digital copies sold through various sites, Impulse and Gamergate's combined sales were about 10,000, about 4% of the total sold. GOG sold about 40,000, which was about 16%, and then Steam sold 200,000, which is about 80%.
Okay, so then that still supports my previous statement that using the term wildly inaccurate is
it's only off by
probably
about-
not being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I guess, it's your shit and you can do whatever you want to with it. But
But at the same time, my argument with that is it's not their shit. It's publicly
don't
accessible.
piss on me and tell me it's raining. Like.
Well, I mean,
Right.
even if it's an 80% cut, if it's out of 1 million sales, that's a huge chunk.
Yeah, I guess so. That's
200,000.
200,000.
Yeah, that'd be.
Right, but still, like, it's just odd. Because
It is.
most PC gamers get this shit through Steam.
Yeah, that's very evident by those numbers there. About 16% of people get it through GOG, where about 80% of people get it through Steam.
Well, I think I've said everything I can think of.
Cat
on this.
made a good point, BT dubs.
All right, what's chat got to say about itself?
Yeah, every game would show a massive drop from launch. It would take a while for people to realize what normal change is. I believe he was in reference back to the Destiny that we were talking about, where Destiny's initial player count.
Oh, well,
versus
yeah,
its
I
player
mean-
count now. Yeah.
That was obviously an extreme example, but I was just trying to give like an idea of if you've
Like, I
really
bought-
underperformed.
I bought Destiny at launch, and I don't play it anymore.
All right,
I
so
mean,
since
you're
we're talking
just
about
one of the
Steam,
numbers. Yeah, let me just
let's go ahead and
finish up with my last little
Oh, yeah,
line
okay.
on this, which is basically just if they're really concerned about the accuracy and this is their reason for it, show me one game where your numbers are wildly wrong, and I'll give it to you.
Yeah,
And
pretty much.
then we don't have to have this conversation about why we're worried about you hiding your numbers, even though you're not. I can still go find them.
Especially since they have like a huge release coming out soon with Civ 6.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it just looks like they're not too sure how well that game's gonna do, and they don't want any negative press from it.
Yeah. We'll see. It's probably going to generate its own negative press with them hiding numbers like this. So
well, I don't think it would be too bad. I don't think how many people will actually hear about it and or care.
That's very true.
But like I said, time will tell.
yes,
Yeah.
time
do
will
you
tell.
wanna
Yep,
off the top for
I'm-
Star Wars? Or
I'll let you go on this one. I'm just going to turn us
Okay.
right over to it though.
So, speaking of Steam, Star Wars Battlefront 3 may live again as a fan-made FPS galaxy in turmoil. Before Star Wars Battlefront, there is Star Wars Battlefront 3, which is kind of hilarious that they dropped the numbers. In development at Free Radical Design for a couple of years before the whole thing was canceled in late 2008. A few months ago, diehard fans set about resurrecting the project based on the work that was completed as Galaxy in Turmoil. The heavy use of Star Wars assets, which developer Frontwire Studios obviously does not own, meant the game couldn't be offered on Steam. Or could it? The developers announced earlier this week that yes, actually, it can, thanks to a distribution deal with Valve that will allow Galaxy in Turmoil to be released free on Steam. Okay, see, I didn't know this part.
Oh no?
I didn't know that it was going to be free.
Oh yeah, it's free.
So this changes, like, because Bulldog and I were talking about this earlier about the possible copyright claims.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same thing that went on. There's a project called Project Contingency, which is like Unreal Engine version of Halo multiplayer. And the reason why they, haven't gotten a cease and desist is because they're not making any money. So as long as they do something like this and they don't charge anything for it, it's pretty difficult to come up with a legal argument for getting them to stop. So,
Right.
and I'll continue here. While this is undoubtedly a big step and accomplishment for Frostbite Studios itself, it's an even bigger step for you, the community. Frontwire President Tony Romanelli, I'll call him, wrote, by Steam agreeing to ship Galaxy in Turmoil, we are not only adding more validation and awareness to the project by opening up the game to a whole new audience, we're also cementing Frontwire Studios' reputation as an up-and-coming developer with the opportunity to now publish our games on Steam in the future. So, I mean, I don't see how any bad can come of this. This seems like a good thing. Like, who doesn't want more Star Wars?
Warriors.
I mean, who doesn't want this particular game?
Everyone in the mother wanted Battlefront 3, then we got Battlefront, which just sucked nuts.
I was gonna say the reason the number
The
was
Frostbite
dropped-
reskin.
I was gonna say the reason the number was dropped is it changed developers hard,
Oh, okay.
and they took the name to be like, look at the nostalgia, and then I looked at it and I was like, it's a Battlefield with a Star Wars skin.
Pretty much.
No.
Like, it was a fun game, but I wasn't paying money for it.
It also felt it was. I mean, like I said, I haven't played the previous Battlefront games
No?
personally. No, that's actually
He
one
was a
like
Halo
big
guy.
series that I wasn't into.
It was
Um,
before Halo, though.
yeah, but you have to remember that I didn't get into gaming until I was older. Because I don't know if I ever told you this or not, Steve, but I didn't. It took me a little while to convince my parents that video gaming wasn't the most horrible thing on the face of the earth.
Okay.
I mean, it was mostly my mother that was holding it back because I'd more or less convinced my dad because to him all it was the next step up from pinball. Like he just saw it as entertainment. But yeah, so I missed out on a lot of older games that I haven't played just by virtue of I wasn't gaming back then. But I can't say what the old Battlefront games were like, but this latest one, quote unquote, supposed Battlefront, felt super arcade shooter to me. It felt like the hitboxes were giant and the difficulty wasn't necessarily that high. I just didn't like it. You know what I mean?
Like my experience with Battlefront 2 was a solid 2 to 3 years maybe of total gameplay with it. Like, it was a fun fucking game.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean, though?
Favorite part. Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
hitboxes
yeah,
felt
okay.
oddly shaped, and they felt like the game was trying to make it easier for people to play, like it was trying to be really casual.
Even though I always played it because I wasn't really great at shooters, and I preferred the first one actually to the second one. The second one added in the actual Jedis and whatnot, and I wasn't excited for that because it made people overpowered. But I was never at that age worried about
Right.
aesthetic to shooters.
Yeah.
Like the Jedi in the last Battlefront that was just made are shit. Last I knew, they're severely underpowered, and you just would get wrecked the second.
They
you come
definitely
on.
are. Like the strongest one was freaking Han Solo, I think, because he has a
Yeah,
blaster. And he doesn't have to go into melee range to fight things.
Right.
The only thing I can say about the most recent one is I think their problem with the hitboxes that you're talking about, Doc, is importing these weird-looking, strangely shaped Star Wars model into the realistic world engine that is the Frostbite engine.
And something went Hadurk.
And something went Herdirk. What
This
did
is
you
not
just
how
do?
Things look.
Yeah, and it got severely confused by these models, I'm sure. And on top of that, like the lasers had bullet drop.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Like
They couldn't,
these are lasers.
like I said, I made that joke with you before. I was like, we can just set the the wind and gravity drop speed to 0 and it'll make the drop go away, right guys? Right? We can just turn all the dials down, right? That's not how that works. Like it's literally part of the engine. There are some very serious things you have to go and change to make the bullets not drop anymore.
You have to build a new engine.
You mean they have
Well, you
to
wouldn't have
work
to
on the game
completely-
to do so?
Oh yeah, I
No,
know,
they could
right? They'd have to
base
do
it off
work.
The Frostbite engine, but like they'd have to do major tweaks to it.
Yeah, and they didn't. They literally just
No.
reskinned a Battlefield and were like,
That
look,
feels
Star
like they kinda
Wars, you
slapped
like
it
Star
on.
Wars?
Yeah, they reskinned it. They didn't have a story mode. They took out space battles. They did a lot of stupid shit with it.
You can't
Maybe
just
they-
go get in a ship. You have to go to an icon to get in a ship.
And for the fucking AT-AT fights, the speeder things with the harpoons are useless.
You have no tow cable, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, like that's the only reason those exist.
Literally, the snow speeders exist literally to wrap cables around the AT-ATs.
That is their life.
Well, I mean, they're good as a mobile unit, so
I
they allow you
guess,
to
but I
move from one
mean,
place to another.
Yeah,
you
but
can't get out of it.
you're the you can't get out of it. Oh my god.
You're in it till it explodes.
Yeah,
What you're
so the
saying is
literal
you
purpose.
suicide bomb the giant ATTs?
It doesn't do
Jeez.
any damage. I tried.
Come on, Kaze!
Hello, Kabrar!
No, Allahu Empire.
Oh,
Oh.
not who Palpatine.
Kablooey.
Darth
The
Vader.
other people. We're the rebels. The Empire like the AT-ATs. The rebels don't. I don't know who they're allowing to.
What the
Hello,
fuck's the? It's a trap guy.
It's a chap guy.
What's his name? It's General something. Is it Akbar? His name's General Akbar.
So it's Allahu Akbar. We're terrible.
Kamikaze!
Oh, it's good.
Wow, that's yeah.
They did so many stupid decisions with the game. Like,
Yeah, and what Battlefield 3 promised was seamless transition
Admiral.
from ground battles to space
Battlefront.
battles. Yeah, sorry, the Battlefront. What the original like Battlefront 3 promised was like you could go from the ground fight, get in a spaceship or an X-wing, go up into space and fight up there.
And go fuck shit up. Like,
Yeah, you could go seamlessly from the ground battle to the space battle, which would be so great.
yeah, it'd be fun. It would've
and
been
by
great.
seamlessly we mean mystically, like transition in
Okay.
loading that you don't quite notice.
Sure.
There's no such thing as 100% seamless, especially in a multiplayer environment, but I don't disbelieve that it would be relatively convincing.
Well, that was the other thing about Battlefront is it was only like maximum of 4 players.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Battlefront 2 was, yeah.
Yeah, it was only a max of 4 players. Like my favorite mode to play is fucking Galactic Conquest, where it's you versus another person building ships and flying between and conquering planets.
Yep.
And you have a bunch of AI units that are basically like expendable numbers on a ticket docket, and you go around trying to kill their units faster than they kill your units,
And
or you
depending
kill
on
each
your
other.
actual like in-game ranking, you can tell X amount to follow you.
Yep. Which levels up as you go throughout the Galactic Conquest. So
It was a fun
that
one.
was actually fun. You could tell up to like 6 units max to follow you.
Yep. So you just run in with a posse in that house.
Yep, run up to a point and caps it, whatever. That was really fun. And it was always the like there's 7 points on this planet's surface that are like the strongholds. You have to capture all of them to win or exhaust all of the enemy units to win,
Whichever comes first.
whichever comes first. And if you rammed like if you flew a fleet into an enemy fleet, that's where space battles happened and you'd end up with your frigates fighting their frigates, and that was really fun because you
Yep.
could go like board the enemy frigate and destroy their shields from the inside and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Internal sabotage. It was a good game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
had some really good ideas, and for them to just drop it for Battlefield 3 was really, or sorry, Battlefront 3 was really disappointing.
Well, I
And-
believe George Lucas told them to cancel it when they were about 99% done with it.
That's really
Like
sad.
they were working out the bugs, and then he like showed up like, "Eh, no one wants it. Shut it down."
No
Like, "But
one
one's done."
wants it. What the fuck?
Nope, no one wants it.
Rip.
And then the internet hated him.
And the internet has hated him for a lot of things.
Yes. He's had them like there's been so many Star Wars games that have been canceled because of his ass.
Alright, I gotta jump in here really quick. I've got someone at the door who needs to talk
Tell
to
them
me,
fuck
apparently.
Unless it's pizza.
Okay, we will
um,
cover for your pizza.
Well, do you want to talk about the PT other game also getting canceled before you do Titanfall, so I can comment on that?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't plan on transitioning. Steve and I can talk about that, and Deldev can join us too. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
you
So
wanna
I
just
will be
mute
back
yourself
shortly.
and let me know when you're back. Yeah.
Yep.
If you put the story down in the chat, because I don't know.
Did I? Because I don't know. I don't even know if I have that story live. So I'm just gonna
Yeah,
throw
but
it
Doc-
up.
Anticipation.
It's fine.
I blame him.
Where's the
What was the
professionalism,
name of
guys?
that game, Steve?
Game?
The game that got canceled. The one that you
Oh,
were
Darth
happy
Maul
about.
game?
There was a Darth Maul game that was
It's
canceled
going to be.
by George Lucas. No, Doc was talking about the PT horror game that got
Oh.
canceled.
Oh,
That was a long time ago, though.
There was a spin-off that was based on the PT demo, and
okay.
it just recently got canceled as well. Like they announced that they were done making this PT spin-off game, which
At least release what they have so you can see what it was.
yeah, you can say the same thing about PT though, right? Like release what you've got,
Yeah, but this is from an indie dev versus fucking
Konami,
Konami. Yeah, Konami's the assholes.
who've decided that card games and pachinko machines are more important.
Yes. Just fuck them.
Twinkle machines make a lot of money.
They do.
Yeah,
Konami
and
a
Yu-Gi-Oh
lot of
makes a lot
money.
of money too.
I'm actually excited for Hideo Kojima.
Allison Road is the name, according to Doc.
Allison Road. Yep. Okay.
Good.
Yeah, that was the game that got canceled, and then Steve was disappointed because you want more horror games.
Yes, I want good horror games, not shitty fucking Five Nights at Freddy's spin-offs that seem to be infinite now. Not fucking walking simulators that are scary, spooky. Like on an actual like horror game.
See, I'm okay with some of the horror games that come out because some of them are actually good. Like they do the very environmental kind of like Soma did when you take out the monsters.
Yeah, like Soma, that's more of a suspense to me though, not really horror.
I guess that's
Especially
true.
without the
It was,
monsters,
it was
it's just
building up what
suspenseful.
felt like a horror game,
Yeah,
and
but-
then the monsters just kind of ruined it for me, and it didn't feel as horror
right
as
back,
I
I
wanted
got
it to be. And there goes Steve. So now it's just you and me, Deldev.
Wow, okay.
So Deldev,
So,
you said you got a beta key for Dead by Daylight, and I was actually really interested in getting all of us together to play that because that looked like it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Was
it's probably a game you have to play with friends, but I haven't gotten to try it since it was like a little after midnight when I got it and I had to go to bed.
okay.
But I know my friend's been playing it. He's already found a glitch where apparently if you attach someone to the hook and
Mhm.
then that person gets saved or almost saved, like literally half a second before they're pulled off of the hook by their teammate, and you kill the teammate uh, that's sitting there or trying to help them, then it glitches them back onto the hook, but they can't be damaged or anything. They just can't move, so they're basically an immortal being sitting there keeping your game up because there is no time limit,
Right. Yeah.
and they just have to wait until the main or the guy who plays the bad guy or the player who plays the bad guy to leave until you can touch. But
Oh
been
wow,
amazing.
that's a bad glitch. I know there's another glitch that I've seen where when they fall off of the hook, they can start floating around like they're being carried on his shoulder.
While
What?
moving,
How are you
Yeah,
doing?
while moving normally. So they'll
we're
float.
talking by Dead by Daylight beta currently.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I like after watching Mathis play it a few times, I was like, I really think we should get this game because it looks like it'll be fun.
I was gonna say I have the beta for it, and so does Dev, so there's only one other person that needs to get it.
Like,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
sure if you can get like Tony, you, and Doc to assist each other in that whole site thing, then it'll work out. Because
Yeah.
then you get the key. If Doc wants to join, he can, but he doesn't have to. Tony might want to play it, so
Nah, I don't know
yeah,
about
I'll
that. Tony
definitely
has like
do
a
that.
weird niche amount of games that he likes to play.
yeah,
Tony or
that's
Doc?
true.
Tony.
Tony.
Okay, because Doc's also like super
That's also kind
refined.
of good.
Yeah, but they don't even have to play. They just
They
have to
don't have
help
to
you get
play;
that
they
key.
just have to help me do it. Yeah, which would be great. So I would really enjoy that because from what I've seen of Dead by Daylight, it looks like it's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, it looks fun. I'd
It's not what I
like to play it.
expected when I heard the premise.
Right.
Like the premise I heard, I thought would be so much better than the actual game is. Shocks.
Yeah, but it's also still in beta.
Well, see what I heard, Steve, was I'd heard you were all like the basic characters, you walked around looking like normal humans.
Yeah.
And one of you, it was kind of like the murder
Oh,
game in Gmod. One of
oh,
you is the killer, and you have to pick off and kill all of the people that aren't the murderer.
that would be awesome, actually. That
Yeah.
sounds way better than what this is.
hmm That's what I thought it was because
What it
that's the
is,
way it was described to me the first time I heard about it.
like what it is okay, but
Oh yeah, it's just not as good as the premise that I had heard about it. And
Doc, did you
if it
want to join in the conversation?
Oh no, I'm just letting you guys talk about it because I don't know anything about it.
Okay, I figured since you had just gotten back, but yeah, it's a game where, as he's saying, you go and play as either the survivors or the uh, what would you call them, like
I
murderer.
murderer,
the
the
murderer.
supernatural murderer.
Yeah, and your goal is to restart these generators that appear on the map somewhere, and if you can actually turn one of them on, there's like a little mini game you have to do while you're doing it. You
I
can
think you have
go
to
and
turn
run
on
to the
4
exit.
of them. I think you have
Do
to turn
you?
on 4. Yeah. There's
Well,
like
if you
8
can
or
turn
9
on
on the
the
map.
needed amount,
Yeah.
then you can run to the exit doors and leave. And in some maps, apparently, there's like these little hidey holes that you can jump into and leave the map automatically.
Yep, the escape hatch,
Mhm.
which if you find it and use it, disappears and reappears somewhere else in the map.
Oh,
So
rip,
only one person can escape using the escape hatch.
rip.
Unless there's no like player hit detection, in which case you can just be inside each other while you leave.
Except
This
there is, and you
okay.
know there is.
Is
If
there?
you've watched any gameplay, yeah, there's player
I
hit
haven't.
detection. You
And
can't run through each other. You hit each
that
other.
sucks.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
maybe you could surround it and activate it all at the same time.
That's true.
maybe, but I'm not sure.
That would
I
be
wouldn't-
ninjas. Fuck.
Yeah, ninja, all 5 of you get out through the escape hatch all at once. And the other reason the escape hatch is a little more viable than the doors is once you get the generators turned on, there's two doors, and they're usually on opposite ends of the map, and the doors take about 5 seconds to open,
And they're very visible.
and yeah, they're lit up and bright. So you have to stand around for a while holding a lever while the door opens up, just waiting for the murderer to come gank you.
Rip.
Luckily, the murderer can only kill one person at a time, so
Yeah, and killing them's weird. Like you have to attack them, then they kind of like go down. You have to drag them somewhere else to kill them.
you have to
You
take
have
them
to
to
drag
a
'em to a
hook
hook.
that like eats their soul.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a weird supernatural thing there.
I'd rather just chop them up with the giant machete that he has.
Eh.
That makes sense to me.
Apparently, there's a really overpowered thing you can get as the survivors called a toolkit.
Oh yeah.
And if you get the toolkit, you can dismantle the hooks.
Oh my god.
Well, okay, so I'm mildly confused about this because if you have a certain number of survivors and then there's this murderer, right? Why doesn't just no one split up? Like just do everything as a
Yeah.
giant group.
They do split up.
Because then you're more visible to him. It's not like you have like a pulsating vibe around you. It's you have to
No,
sit
but
in
you
the
just said that he
shadows.
can't kill more than one person at a time.
No,
Yeah.
but he can still injure you to the point of
Yeah.
where you're just crawling on the ground.
Where you're crawling on the ground.
And
Yeah, so he
there's no,
doesn't
is
have
there any
to-
way
he
for you
doesn't
to
have
damage
grab
him?
you.
Or is he like
And
this
I think
omnipotent?
there is a level with the killer where he can just kill you without a hook or anything.
Oof. I wouldn't want to play that version because that's a little unfair. But
Like, you have to get-
what was
you
your
have to get 'em
question,
all the way
Doc?
down to
Because
crawling.
Steve kind of dwarfed your question.
No, so it's like he damageable in any fashion? Or
No.
oh, okay.
Not
Well
at all.
then, all right. I guess it makes
Yeah.
sense to stay split up then. Like I thought
Yeah,
this
so
was
if he came
the
by
way
and
that you
started slashing
initially
you,
the way that you initially described it. It sounded like there was some way for the survivors to do something to him, as opposed to just trying to escape. But if it's set up
think-
like that, then
Nope. The
I think
survivors
there's
have
a way to
get
use
away.
flashlights against
Yeah, I
him.
think flashlights stun him.
Yeah,
temporarily.
flashlights blind him for a good second and a half, but that's like the only thing you can do to him as a survivor. Is you turn on the flashlight as he comes at you, and it blinds him.
Apparently, it's depending on the killer since they are random to the levels. But I've only seen one killer so far in
I've
any of
only
the
seen
videos
one.
that I've watched.
Yeah,
But I
same
know
here.
the killer can't jump, he can't crouch, anything like that. He can't sprint.
Yeah,
And
he's
when
also
you come
really
near
slow.
survivors, they start hearing a very loud heartbeat that increases in pace the closer the killer is to the survivor.
Which I find like there's too many
Rip.
unfair disadvantages to that. Like he can't sprint or anything like that, and survivors can.
He
you
moves
can't-
faster than them sprinting.
Well, he doesn't really sprint. He kind of hobbles faster if he decides to sprint. He doesn't actually sprint.
Okay.
Yeah. And he
say,
moves
though-
faster than them sprinting. That's why they have to use the environment to block him.
Like I say, if the killer's like moving slowly onto someone that's just kind of like hiding, that doesn't like there's no heartbeat. Like I wish there was a way just to sneak up on people.
You can, because the heartbeat stays the same rate at a certain distance, which is like 15 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a pretty big radius he can be in. The only thing I hate is when the killer is looking at you, like in front of the killer in the zone he's looking at,
Mm-hmm.
is a little red sight line thing. Like his whole
Oh.
body's glowing red. So if you walk up behind someone while they're looking away, since it's a third person view, that red light will end up on their body and give away that the killer's right behind them.
Yeah, like there's too many disadvantages given to the
that
killer.
feel when really good lighting effects ruin gameplay.
It's not even
Derp.
lighting, it's just showing you what he's seeing.
No, it's not showing you what he's seeing. It's only a small area directly in front of him. It shows you the direction he's looking,
Okay,
but not necessarily what he sees.
right.
Even so, that would add to the tension in the game. If all of a sudden he's right there and you see the red light and you weren't expecting it,
Yeah, but my instinct.
that's
is just
going to make you freak out, and you
Then you
may
just you try and bail hard and you just die.
Fail. Yeah.
that'll make someone run into a corner. Oopsies, I'm dead.
Yeah. Also, Steve, the killer is still so much stronger than the survivors, even with all these
'Cause he has
disadvantages
a
we're
weapon.
talking about. Like, what I mean is it's nobody necessarily loses the game. The killer wins as long as he sacrifices one of the survivors, and the survivors win if they escape.
But he only has to kill
Survivors
one
are
of
kind
them?
like on an individual level, whereas he's like, I just need to kill one of you, really.
He, as long as he kills one of the survivors, he'll get a brutal victory at his end screen, no matter how many other survivors got away.
So
And
he
then
could be
their
like,
end screen will be successfully escaped victory.
so he could be like, so who wants to help me sacrifice someone for guaranteed victory?
Well, for him, and then they get victory for leaving.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, you just have to sacrifice one of you, and I'll guarantee the rest of you live as well.
Because you get more points for killing the rest of them, and they get points for as many survivors as escape.
Okay, I was gonna say there needs to be a way for a stupid truce like that not to happen. That would be silly.
They're just
Alright.
like, all right, sure, whatever.
So, do we want to
Well,
talk
I
about
mean-
Rip Titanfall?
Yeah, let's move into Rip Titanfall, and then we'll go into games we've been playing lately.
Do you want me to take this one, or would you like?
You go ahead. I know that you feel the same
Alright.
as I do.
PC. By the way, all of our articles this evening have been from the illustrious PCGamer.com.
Yes, they
Uh,
helped me greatly.
Please sponsor us.
Titan. Wow,
To
Rip.
tell you the truth, the reason that I got them all from PC Gamer is I read the articles on different sites, and I just prefer the articles from PC Gamer.
All right, Titanfall 2
All by
will
the
launch
same
3
guy, too.
weeks out from Battlefield 1, EA Chief says. The Titanfall 2 worldwide reveal won't take place until June 12th, but the release date picture is now a lot clearer, sort of. Thanks to Electronic Arts CFO Blake Jorgensen, I guess, as reported by DualShockers. Jorgensen said, the Giant Fighting Robots game, will be released roughly 3 weeks from Battlefield 1, and we do know when Battlefield 1 is coming, so that gives us kind of a ballpark. The tricky bit is that Jorgensen apparently didn't specify whether Titanfall 2 would be out 3 weeks ahead of Battlefield 1 launch on October 21st or 3 weeks after. Personally, I would read 3 weeks from as meaning subsequent to, and I would agree with that assessment. Pretty much it doesn't matter either way, because Titanfall 2 is pretty much rip. Like, I mean, if it's coming out that close to Battlefield 1, like, that's just probably one of the worst marketing decisions I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's like when Tomb Raider came out like the same day as Fallout 4.
It's like
You're
GG.
not doing that well against Fallout 4.
Guys, we have some last minute things we have to fix up, so let's just push this back a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, they're not doing anything great with the Titanfall series.
I also have to point this out because it's really spooky. Every single one of these articles was also written by the illustrious Andy Chalk.
Not all of them. Paradox wasn't.
Well, it has no
Paradox
attribution.
by Angus Morrison.
Angus Morrison.
Oh, there
But
it
the
is.
rest
Right.
of these were by Andy Chalk.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Good job. But yeah, I just I was kind of hype because I mean, Bulldog and I were pretty much like we've said this before on the show. Like we were gods at Titanfall, and I was kind of looking forward to getting scratching that itch that can only be fulfilled by 360-degree dick kicks. And yeah, I think that the exact same thing that happened to the first Titanfall is going to happen to Titanfall 2, where it's going to spike in population and then just disappear because lol Battlefield.
Yeah, I'm very saddened by
Doesn't
this
he own
because.
Battlefield?
Huh?
Doesn't EA own Battlefield?
So yeah, they're kind of making the decision to screw
Yes.
themselves.
Yeah,
They're
EA owns both of these games. They're
Let me
screwing
shoot my
themselves.
other game in the foot so I can have it close to Battlefield.
Yeah, just hold off. Hold off. There's
Yeah,
nobody's gonna die or anything if you wait to launch the game.
I was gonna say, like, wait till like January 1st.
Yeah, I mean, geez, like they literally need to push this date back. They're shooting themselves in the foot so hard, and I don't know what marketing team or whoever decided this is what we're doing now.
Blake Jorgensen decided this.
Well done,
He
Steve.
announced it.
Well done.
I don't know. I think Andy Schulk had some of this.
It's a conspiracy, obviously.
It is.
Yeah, it's just like the saddest part about this is there's not a whole lot to say about it other than just rest in peace.
Oh my god. Okay, you go farther down in the article, right?
Mm-hmm.
He also made a point, since it's an obvious concern, of stating that EA doesn't believe releasing two very high-profile shooters in such close proximity to each other will be a problem.
So EA is retarded.
There's a very broad and diverse set of players who play the games in that category who are looking to fulfill different gameplay motivations. Some people play very quick play where others play more strategically. Some players want both in different contexts. So they don't realize that people that play Titanfall probably also play Battlefield.
F for respect, people. F for respect.
Press F to pay respects.
Jeez.
I actually, you know what? Now that you've mentioned that, Steve, I'm gonna get that set as a quick image in the hotbar from now on, so we can just pop that up anytime. Anytime there's a pretty obvious rip.
I'll get one set up for ours as well.
Stupid. Like, EA, guys, come on. You don't play more than one game type.
That's company NA. Like, I mean,
Dang.
in a perfect world, I understand that statement. Like, but this is not a perfect world.
No.
So,
Yeah.
like, I'm not trying to say that these are two similar games. I mean, you're running and wall jumping with giant robots, and in the other one, you're gonna have, you know, like trenches. So it's obviously
but
different
then-
styles of gameplay. But let's be perfectly honest with ourselves about which one's gonna get the majority of the player base.
The
Like,
one with
come
the
on.
more recognizable name. The
Yeah.
one that actually still has an audience.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one that people don't go, what is Titanfall?
The one that
Is that
forgot
that game
its
that
numbers.
took off for a little while and then just vanished?
A pop bottle rocket of first-person shooters.
The month after it was released was already $20.
Oh, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, oh my god. Why do you think I got it? Like a month after release, they're like, it's $20 now. And I was like, I wanted this game, so I'll buy it.
Man, I'm not gonna wonder why it's $20. Oh, that's why.
Then you
Well-
bought. He was so happy that it was cheap that he went and bought both me and him the season pass for the DLC.
Yep. So we got all of the DLC. And back then there was still like 10k players, which was good enough.
Yeah, there was enough people for us to play, and then like they nerfed melee, they nerfed the dick kick, and we kind of stopped playing for a while, and we kind of got it in our heads that we wanted to go play again, so we reinstalled it and realized that the game was dead.
It's dead.
Like-
there's about 1,000.
And by the way, I was really
1,000
pissed
players.
because that game is not an easy thing to install. That game is enormous. That's like a sick.
Yeah.
What was it, like 80 fucking
The
gigs?
game by itself is like 80 something gigs.
Jesus.
And
No,
then
really,
each of the
The
fucking
reason
DLCs
it's
is
so
like
big is because like they were super serious with this game when they released it. They wanted it to be like a big ticket thing that people with really beefy rigs could run at really impressive resolutions. Like it had 4K support, it had 7.1 Dolby Digital full surround sound, it had triple monitor support. Like this thing was serious business, so it was huge. And then it just like poof.
the maps were massive. Everything
Well,
was gorgeous.
I'd
okay,
say the maps are
massive-
medium sized.
Well, I was gonna say they're medium-sized for Titanfall standards because we're running around in
I mean,
giant.
it's
fucking
hard.
mechs.
Yeah, as I say, it's hard to make a map seem big when you're running around in a giant mech. Like,
But running around, parkouring around the map was one of the funnest things. Get the enhanced parkour kit and just run.
I was so cheap. I have enhanced parkour kit with invis and satchel charge, and we just play capture the flag and troll everyone.
Yes, of course. Invis kit, satchel.
Because you satchel your way into the base, pop the invis, run in, grab the flag, and then just poof, you're gone.
Best
Yeah, good times.
thing. That's why we can 2v6 and capture the flag.
Well, I really don't have anything else to say about it. I'm just kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed. So, I guess we're gonna roll into our final topic of the evening. So,
I forgot what that was.
Do.
that was us talking about games we've been playing lately and how we've been enjoying.
Oh.
Yep. So we're gonna start with Steve, who just picked up Overwatch.
Because we need to talk about that again for the fifth time.
It'll
Overwatch.
bring views, I swear. People can hear us no matter what.
I got Overwatch 2 days ago. I've played it now probably for 6 hours. I still don't understand the massive amount of hype behind it. It is an okay game.
Yeah,
It's a game that is fun. That's all it needs for hype.
Yeah, like it's fun, but I mean, it's not fun enough to have the amount of hype it has to me. Like people love this game with a dying passion, and I don't understand it. Like it's an easy
It's
to
for
get
different
into
people.
game. The skill ceiling is not that high. Like,
Actually,
the hitboxes don't
there's
work.
there's a
Well,
difference.
you can
between-
rephrase that. The skill cap isn't that high on certain characters. Like
Yes,
there are
it's-
characters that are easier for lower skill inputs.
Yes.
Yes. If you watch me play Mei comparatively to like me playing Hanzo or anything like that, there's a definite difference in how much skill goes into a character. And
Yes.
Mei has simple abilities, but her like skill cap is ridiculous. And for anyone who doesn't know, Mei is the ice lady that everyone says Mei is Bae.
Yeah, man,
So she has the ability to freeze enemies with her her primary trigger on a weapon, and her secondary trigger is a long shot that does a decent amount of damage. And usually on most squishy characters, after freezing them, will instantly kill them with that ice bolt.
You
But
can. We
her-
actually, while you were gone, Daldev, right
Mhm.
before the show, we actually talked about the surprise bastion strat, where Mei puts the ice wall underneath a bastion behind a low wall, and suddenly there's just a bastion in your face that just
Yeah.
wrecks all the people on the other side of the wall.
There was actually a huge bug yesterday where they had decided to put in a patch, and Munchies and I had just gotten on right as it came in, so we had to log back off, patch it real quick, put it in.
What happened?
We tried playing Bastion, and like after 2 seconds of me sitting down, it warned me that I was inactive as Bastion. As a
Oh,
turret.
derp.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, wait, okay, let me move for a second, and it booted me.
Oh, rip, rip.
And I'm like, hey, what the heck? I'm playing Bastion. I'm a turret. Please let me sit down.
So,
So
that
I-
was
I-
the bug.
Yeah, it was a big bug with Bastion and another character who's very slow. I think it was just an issue with their inactivity checks. But I joined back in, and I'm sarcastically running around as Bastion, going, "Look it, I'm playing with my assault rifle. Is this how you want me to play? Is this
Oh,
Bastion
man.
to you?"
It's definitely Bastion to you.
Yeah, it didn't matter if you turned your camera, if you shot, you had to move, and even if you did move, it wasn't as registering. It wasn't registering it all the time.
Oh, did I tell you the weird glitch that I got going on?
What's that?
I can play Overwatch with my beta.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
For some reason, it doesn't stop me from launching Overwatch.
Can you
Does
get
it-
into a match?
does it-
I managed to play a game. Yeah, it was weird.
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
The most
Rip.
It's a fun game, but I wouldn't give the praising people have given it.
Hey, I'll give it a free.
I give it an 8 out of 10, but not a 10 out of 10 like a lot of people seem to want to give it.
No,
I
nothing's
give it
worth
an
10
8
out of 10 unless it has like full on story mode and accentuate.
I don't mean
Gameplay.
it as that. Like,
Accentuate gameplay, so the gameplay has to be sexy.
It has
Oh,
to
yeah.
be so sexy that you can fap to it.
But I
you
mean,
might
those
as well
butts.
be playing with naked characters and all females. Then 10 out of 10.
I
But
told
Steve, it's
Munchies
third
yesterday.
person, and look at those butts.
Yes.
I told Munchies yesterday that there was a skin for Tracer that you get with the Origin Edition,
Oh, yeah.
and
Okay.
I told him I didn't really like it because it doesn't show off Tracer's butt well.
Nope.
It's a cool skin, but no, it doesn't have enough butt, so I'm not using it.
Gotta have butt. Trace is a weird character.
I
the way
like
she runs
Tracer.
is strange.
She's lovely and she's OP at times, so
She
That's
can be
right.
OP.
Yeah, she's probably my favorite character I played during the beta.
She's too
Technically.
goofy.
Like, I like Tracer and I like Soldier 76.
yeah, Munchies. That's what I've been doing recently. I haven't gone on in a few days, but
Yeah,
I've
but I
been
was
playing
gonna
Terra
say
recently.
we can transition with chat pointing out what Deldev's been playing.
Yeah.
So Deldev, you want to talk about what you've been playing?
Well, I should be max level right now, but I decided to play a lot of Rust over this weekend and past few days. So I got into Terra for quite a bit, and it was a lot of fun seeing all the different dungeon designs that they did, as well as just playing the new class that they put in, which shouldn't be uh, like a race lock thing, but you can only play as this small little girl to be a ninja, and there's no males for that character, so it bothers me a bit as well. But you know, it's all part of the game. So the actual gameplay of it is traditional to MMO types, except they have the action side to it, where they'll mark where the enemy's going to hit, and you can dodge out of the way or run out of the way to not get hit.
So Guild Wars style.
Yep. And a lot of bosses actually can either be juggled or stunned. So if you have skilled players using their abilities correctly, you can wipe a boss quickly and well. And this is up to like level I think 52 we got to, and it's max level 65. So, you know, we should be seeing bosses that aren't juggable if they're planning to do that. But so far, it's any smaller like humanoid bosses can be juggled. Any large bosses can be stunned out of abilities. That way you can successfully
Hmm.
go in and fight them. And
This
the
is really
ninja's
interesting.
just so mobile. With the CC that she has the ability to knock up an enemy with two of her abilities, and one of them just directly stuns them. So, with her being a DPS, that creates a crazy amount of situations where you could just go a full team of ninjas. You don't even need a healer. You don't need a tank, because if you're playing well enough, you could just unlock the boss forever.
Wow. Yeah, to
Yes, the
prevent
pedo
that, I
race.
feel like they'll have to add in some form of boss immunity for certain skills over, not permanently, but like you can't chain them endlessly.
Yeah, but this isn't like public queuing. You have to have a private party of full ninjas. You can't do that normally. Unless
Okay.
you go and you have like a bunch of friends that all want to party with you at the same level, so you can go do that dungeon with them. But the normal system is you have to have a tank, you have to have a healer, and then they try and divvy up the actual classes that get into these groups evenly, but with a lot of players being ninjas right now, it goes, hey, there's too many of this type in the queue. Would you like to expand your queue to include more than just the generic stuff?
Okay.
So that's nice. It's not crippling for the queue times. It's maybe a few minutes, but you can do it while doing quests, so it doesn't matter.
That's really interesting. To tell you the truth, I haven't seen, looked, or heard anything about this game until just now. I saw you were playing it, didn't even bother to look at it, and now I've looked at it. It reminds me of Blade and Soul.
I think Blade and Soul was a lot more focused on the action side and ends up being a very, very PvP type game. I can't say for Terra because I don't know if I can even PvP or if I can. I haven't tried. But I know there's guild battles, which is cool, but I haven't been able to try that either since I'm in a very inactive guild,
Okay.
the Kiori Guild, because I joined in while watching him stream it. So
Kiori Guild.
Mhm. We've got a bunch of sarcastic castles in there.
Yes.
I was gonna say, it sounds like it. Wow. All right, cool. We'll poke Doc, but I think I know Doc's answer. So, Doc, anything you want to talk about that you've been playing, or
Not anything that hasn't been talked about enough already. Like,
that's kind of what I figured, but I figured I'd poke the.
You could tell
sleeping-
everybody about the situation with 2B2T.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a mystical server that exists out there in the ether and goes by the name Two Builders, Two Tools. And it was recently picked up by a relatively popular YouTuber who is approaching 800,000 subscribers, I believe. Was right
Yeah.
around where his numbers were at. It was the Camping something, wasn't it?
The Camping Rusher.
The Camping Rusher. And 2B2T is basically the strict survival multiplayer vanilla with no mods, no admins, nobody to suck up to, no factions, no TOWIE, just a bunch of guys in a vanilla server. And the map is so old that it kind of causes the server problems sometimes. The player base is normally between 20 and 40. I mean, that's what it's been at for the past 2 years up until now. So it's not the most stable thing on the face of the planet. And it's now currently sitting at, I believe, the last time I checked, it was at 225 players online. On a server that by no means has the capability to host that many people. And by some magic force unknown to man, it is still running. Bulldog and I jumped on yesterday when we heard about the great the great new fag incursion, as they call it, apparently, on 2E2T is how it's being referred to. And we were able to place blocks properly and mine and eat, and there wasn't any positional latency. It was apparently at 3 TPS, but it was still running. So I guess if anybody out there wants to add insult to injury, it's 2b2t.org. Go ahead and fire it up. Enjoy the oldest and the worst server ever created by man.
Probably
Yeah,
cry
the
as you
file
never
size
leave.
for the world is like over a terabyte in size, right?
Yep, rip. Like, I mean, like I was telling you, I at first had thought, well, if there's this big YouTuber here and he really wants to do a series here, I don't know why the owner of 2B2T, which we kind of refer to as Housemaster, just doesn't put up a donations button and be like, hey, I can get a bigger and better server if all the people who are coming over with this YouTuber, like, really want to value this kind of a experience, like, they really want to be serious about an SMP vanilla server. And I then realized that it might actually be impossible to upgrade the server, because how the fuck is it going to move the map?
How long?
How are you going to move that map? The only thing I could come up with is maybe if you found a Minecraft server provider who would allow you to do a file transfer protocol on the server, which is with another remote host, which is not normally, you normally don't have that much fine control over a Minecraft server. I don't know if any of the three of you guys have ever actually rented a Minecraft server before.
I
I have.
You have, like, from an actual, like, an agency?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so you know the interface I'm talking about, right? How it's kind of limited. You can get
Yeah.
into console, but it's kind of more of a user-friendly surface
Yeah, you
to
can
it.
get into the Yeet files and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. They would normally not allow you to do like a giant file transfer with a remote host like that, even if you had purchased that much space from them. That would you probably need to do a little bit of convincing in order to get them to let you do that in the first place. So,
You'd have to mail over the hard drive that it's on.
well, no, not necessarily. Like there's a
You'd have to have
particular
ridiculous upload speed.
well, but that's what I'm talking about. The reason that you wouldn't want to download it from 2B2T and then upload it someplace else, what I'm talking about is there's a way you could set up a file transfer directly between the two servers themselves over the network without you ever downloading the map. And because both of them are sitting in server farms, they both have really fat bandwidth pipes. So it could theoretically be doable. It's just like having that fine granular control over doing a remote host transfer when you're just renting a Minecraft server. You know, they're probably not going to give you administrative privileges to do that kind of a file transfer, is what I'm saying. So, I don't even know if he can upgrade the server. Like,
Right.
so it's
Oh,
kind of
man.
just screwed. It's basically drowning in noobs right now.
By the way, it was up to 170, I think. I checked.
Okay, so you checked?
170 now.
Mhm.
They're so
Want them to
so
go away.
screwed. They're literally screwed. That's all I can say.
The
And
good
for
80
anyone
players
for anyone in
decide to
Twitch
give up.
chat, yeah, for anyone in Twitch chat who has ever played any sort of game that has a smaller user base. Normally this only happens if you play like a really older game that still has multiplayer on it. But there's a kind of group dynamic that can develop between people who are in online groups between the sizes of, you know, like 30 to 80, you know, like guild size.
Yep.
Like, you know, the kind of relationships you'd form with a guild. This is the exact opposite of that. You all hate each other. That's pretty much what 2v2t was. It was like a guild that no one asked for and no one cares about, and you all hate each other, but you're just stuck in the same place. And that was 2v2t's community. So they'd kind of,
When we
you know,
say stuck in the same place, we mean separated by millions upon millions of blocks.
but imagine a really, really big insane asylum. It's the only way I can describe it. So
Yeah, 30.
If you-
3.6 billion meter insane asylum squared.
yeah. So if you ever just want to take a quick second and see what pure destruction looks like, give it a look.
Yep. And I guess that rolls into me, who, being the least inventive person, has been playing a single player game. Yay! I have been playing the absolute astonishing amount of a game I just picked up recently called The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel, which is a PS Vita game and a PS3 game, but I picked it up for my Vita. And the reason I really enjoy the Legend of Heroes series is it's one of your classic RPGs where you build stats and you level up and keep going, but you have these augments, they're called, which are augments to your stats basically. But they have master quartz that you put in the center of your augment. And that master quartz levels up independent of your character and can be exchanged to anyone else's augment in the party. And that master quartz gives stats and abilities as well as special abilities that are usable with that augment, that quartz in particular. And because of that, you can give any character the ability to fill any role with their weapon type. So, like, currently I have 2 frontline swords masters, but I could easily take the offensive strength-based swords master's force quartz out and give it to my bowman in the back, and suddenly she'll be doing tons of damage with her bow and no longer able to use the magic as well, and my swords master in the front line becomes a insane magic user. And I found that a very fun little system that can really change how the battlefield works, especially considering that the one that my bowmaster actually has, its special ability is when you KO, you automatically revive once per battle with 20% HP and increased mana, which is a very strong ability.
You said this was single
So-
player?
Yep, single player.
I was about to
Yeah,
say,
it
like,
looks
I heard
like
you
an action
describing it,
RPG.
and all I thought was, this sounds like an absolute balanced nightmare. I was like, there's no
Yeah.
way. Because I didn't hear you originally say that. Like, my brain kind of skimmed over it when you said single player. And I was thinking, and the more I heard you talk about it, it's like, this has to be single player. There's no way that this can be done in a multiplayer environment. Like, this would be impossible to balance.
Oh
So
yeah.
I have to
So,
ask,
I mean,
while
it sounds
looking at
really
the
cool.
pictures of it, do you always stick in this school outfit throughout the entire game with these
No,
very
that's-
generic anime characters?
That's the first half.
Okay,
You
'cause
begin
That's
the
the only
first-
pictures I can find.
okay. The first part of the game, I could get my I can't show you guys because we're on Curse, but I bought the collector's edition, so I have an art book and a few other things that came with it. But the beginning of the game, up to the halfway point, starts you off at what's known as the Theros Military Academy, where you and the 9 other students pictured on the cover that you're looking at, Deldev, are put in a special new class called Class 7. And Class 7 is basically they're a special military class based on a guild around the world in this universe called the Bracers Guild. And the Bracers Guild is basically a bunch of warriors that come together to help out the regular folk around the world, no matter their alignment with certain allies or enemies or anything like that. It doesn't matter. You're here to help normal people continue to live their lives. And the Class 7 is supposed to be the military's version of the Bracers Guild, from what I can tell.
They help people live their lives by killing pandas because that's the fourth.
Well, they go around helping the civilians, opposed to what the
Killing pandas and giant raccoons.
oh, are you looking at some of the monsters?
There's like this panda holding a twig, ready to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, that's I think it was just
Like
classified
these
as a
tiny
beast.
leaves will destroy you.
I think it was literally just classified as a beast because I didn't do any research into it. It's another one of
Also,
those
there's
games where the
legs.
more you fight the enemy, the more you find out about it. Or you can use certain skills to gain more insight into it, but it still
The
takes time.
panda
to
is a
learn about the
handicapped
enemy.
beast who carries around a useless weapon with very, very oddly shaped legs. Are these
Yeah, I find
drumsticks
it funny
or are
that
they legs?
all of these pictures that I'm looking at are in like the first like 12 hours of the game that I've played so far.
You have to get
And
like
I'm-
40, 50 images into finding the different outfits.
I was gonna say, like, I haven't even gotten to the halfway point yet, and I'm like 12 hours in, maybe 15 hours in. Yeah, like looking at these images, like the 1-2 over is like one of the beginning cutscenes, where to be introduced to Class 7, she drops you through a trap door, and Elisa falls on you. That was a very interesting thing to deal with for a while. I don't know if there is necessarily a main character. Like, I've only ever played as Reen, the black-haired male character on the center front of the cover. But from what I can tell, you
Surprise.
can play as almost any character. So I don't know if it's gonna switch me over to playing as a different character or not at any point. I just know currently I've only played as Reen. So
Yeah, with what you explained earlier, and it looks like the class system's pretty diverse. It would be a fun game.
oh, it is. It's really, really fun. Like, I picked it up just because I heard it was a decent game, and I've spent countless hours playing it now. It also
Just started them.
has a Gwent-like game in it, like your own little mini game, which
Nice.
is weird.
It sucks that it was a PS3 game and then it went to Vita because man, these terrains look horrid.
Yeah, that was the only complaint I have so far about the game is like the terrain, the water are so low res compared to what's standing in it. Like the characters are so well detailed, the enemies are relatively well detailed, but everything else around you just looks like we stretched a texture over this. It looks real, right? And I'm like, no. I'm hoping the reason I
I've
also
actually-
picked this up is
I've got to say, I've
Heroes-
actually bumped into games like that before, and I've got to say they invariably land in the anime MMORPG subgenre. I'm not
doesn't
kidding
surprise
you.
me.
Like I haven't played a lot of like because I've tried a lot of MMOs after Allods because I was sure that somewhere out there must be one that's worth my time. And like Allods was just so unique that I couldn't really find anything to replace it. But I went through some of the games in the like some of the popular ones at the time in the anime MMO subgenre, and invariably their like character assets were really good, and so were the monsters, and like the trees and the terrain was just ass. It was just fucking garbage. I was like, what happened? Did they run out of money? Where are these assets at? This has to be temporary. There's no way that this is supposed to look like this on purpose.
Tell them I haven't gotten to that scene yet. Just so you know. But yeah, I run into that a lot too with games like this, and I think that's because it's the same thing with all these games when I play it is I don't care about the scenery and the background as much as I care about what's happening in the story, what's going on with the characters, and the things I'm fighting. Like what they're standing on is not as important to me as what I'm doing in that environment.
Yeah, but like I'm gonna throw an image in real quick.
I mean, but if it's like extra ass though.
Yeah, this is pretty extra ass in this image here. It's
Yeah, I
like
know it is.
Send it to
this
me.
is like Legend of Zelda for the N64
You want to
ass.
send that to Doc through chat?
Sure,
Also,
I'll
by the
mention
way,
this on.
that second image you send with Elisa on top of Reen
Oh no,
happens
this is
in, like,
exactly
the
what I meant.
first 2 minutes.
This
of
is
the game.
exactly what I was talking about.
It's that
Yeah.
bad. It's like,
It's-
well then.
oh no.
Yeah. So what
Maybe
I was
some
gonna
bushes?
say is,
I'm sorry that we're just like this is your like game I played this week, and it's like your little segment. We're just shitting on the graphics right now.
shitting on the graphics of the terrain, which I
Hey, the game looks
because it
great,
didn't-
but the graphics. Ooh. Oh wait, I found another one.
I didn't
Cat.
like it that much myself either. The
Nope.
terrain, but yeah, literally they took a texture and they stretched it over the terrain, and they just like it looks like terrain, right? But the other reason that I picked this game up is the second rendition of this game, the sequel, is coming out in a few months. Legend of Heroes: Trails of Cold Steel 2, and that'll be a PS4, PS Vita game, and I'm probably gonna get it for the PS4. So
Understandably.
yeah, like again, the JRPG guy is like, look at me playing a JRPG. Shocking. But I do like the weird thing is the characters all they can only use a certain weapon no matter what class they are, because the class is determined by your master quartz. So switching a master quartz around changes their theoretical class, but they still will use like a sword if they've magically changed to a magician. So giving the angel master quartz to Reen puts him in the back line using spells and abilities with a sword, where normally the angel quartz is on Elisa. At least when you first start out. I'm hoping that, like the other games I've played of the series, the Legend of Heroes series, that I will find more Master Quartz. Because at the current moment, each character only has one Master Quartz, and you can switch them around if you want to, but I like how they're laid out currently, at least for the starting game. So I'm hoping I can pick up more Master Quartz down the line and change the diversity of the game, which will be really fun.
All right, well,
Yeah,
we're
I'm-
officially coming up
Sure.
on the 1 hour and 40-minute mark here, so
That sounds perfect to me.
that sounds like we
I'll
nailed
let
it.
you... Yeah, we've perfectly nailed it. I think we spent a good amount of time talking about Dead by Daylight, and that was a long
Shit
chat. Did I-
graphics. What?
And shit graphics, yeah. I'm sorry.
Shit graphics, yeah.
All right, well, if that's it, any closing statements?
Go ahead and lead us out, Doc.
All right. Well, this has been 4 Mics, episode 2, the show where 4 dudes who know a little amount about a lot of stuff attempt to sound mildly entertaining on the internet. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.